Alright, so we left off with our 4 balls of yarn now on here. The next thing that we're going to add, we have our balls of yarn, which honestly that was the biggest part that I wanted added. But on our picture, we have some little spools of thread just sprinkled throughout the whole thing. I'm going to start by putting some down here with the yarn, and maybe we'll go from there. We might add more, we might add less. My drawing, my sketch is just that. It's a sketch, it's just ideas, and we'll go from there. But let's fill this in a little bit more. We have our drawing tools out again, and let's lay out where we might like to have some spools of thread. Now, with a spool of thread, it's pretty simple actually, almost as simple as the balls of yarn, but this time we're going to draw a couple of straight lines and then some more connecting them. So we have 2 parallel short lines with 2 going the opposite parallel to each other and slightly longer. So I think I want to put one there, and put one over here. Keeping in mind these are just like the yarn ones. They're just an idea of where we want them. I don't know, maybe we'll balance this out a little. We'll put a couple over here. Or that's why we have this. This is chalk, specifically for projects like this. We could even put one right here, kind of tilted at an angle. Got knocked over. And let's see. I like that idea. So this time we're going to put it completely on its side. The lines are a little bit crooked, but this is just our chalk for now. So right now we have 3 added on there. I'll probably decide to add more in other places, but this is a good start for tonight. I'm gonna just give them a light. I'm gonna turn the sweater so that I can see it a little better. Take a look at it, make sure that it looks right from this angle. And then just throw in some quick lines. I like the way this is laying. I do see that some of my line work is crooked, so that's one of the benefits of doing it with chalk first and then flipping it over, is I get to see what it's going to look like, and where I didn't like it that much, I can change it up. Alright, so we have 3 things of thread. These are going to start off by going in with brown. Now that we've seen the whole picture, I'm going to pull you guys back in a little bit. We're going to use brown for our spools, and then we can use other colors for the thread itself. Don't forget your box. We do not want to sew the front to the back. I'm lucky that I remembered it before I sewed the front to the back, because that's something I would do. Alright, push this back just a little bit. So, This is actually going to be fairly similar to the last project. The big difference being, instead of doing the running stitch for the entire thing, the ends of my spool I'm going to do in the back stitch. The back stitch, very similar to the running stitch. It's you're just gonna kind of take your individual stitches, and you see how I've come up from the back, I've gone down, and I've come up again. The difference between the running stitch and the back stitch is the running stitch I would go down in front to continue, and this time I'm going to go back and I'm going to go in where I where I went in last time. Stop moving my stuff. Then I'm going to go up ahead of where I came out last time. Tighten it up. And now we don't have the gap that we would with the running stitch. So I'm going to do that for the ends of this. And I could do the same for the middle, which I might choose to. I'm still not exactly sure. This entire project is all creativity. It's all something new. It's all having fun. So I don't jump in without thinking about what I want to do, but I don't hold myself to a very strict, I can only do it one way. I allow myself the freedom to be creative, to think it through, just to figure it out.
I ended up choosing to go up the sides using the back stitch as well. It gave me more for my yarn to hang on to when we get to the next step.
And there is our very first spool. Now, keep in mind it is an empty spool. There is no thread on it yet, but we have one spool. So now I have two more to put on, and I'll show it to you after. Alright, so there we have 1, 2, 3 spools sewn on. The next thing that we're going to do, I have this beautiful, it's like a grayish tan yarn, and it's got some sparkle running through it. So we're going to use this as one of the colors for the thread. And honestly, I'm going to do it a lot like we did for the yarn. But instead of going across the circle to fill it in, we're just going to go back and forth, up and down the length of the long lines that we made. So I'll start underneath so that my tail is hidden. And then I'll just go under, go through. This is all on top of the sweater. I showed it to my mom, what I had done so far, and she was like, she looked inside the sweater and she says, that was not what I was expecting. She was expecting a whole bunch of threads on the inside, and there's none, because we're making our running stitch, or in this particular case, we're making our back stitch, and we're working through the stitches instead of having to make a big rat's nest underneath of excess threads. This one I am already finding I have to be extra careful not to pull it tight, because it will just shrink it right up. It's okay if you go through the same stitch more than once. It's okay if, you know, however you end up doing it. I thought about throwing in a couple of times where I do an X shape just to fill it in a little faster, and then go over it with my straight stitches or my straight loops, but we'll see how it does with just one row of this before I make any decisions about anything else. By staying on top of the sweater and just going through my loop, my stitching that I've already made, I not only have the top side of these stitches, but I also have the underside, which is filling it in twice as fast, because I don't have to, because the bottom of the stitch is also showing. Alright, this is looking pretty good already. It is going to take at least 2 times, probably more than that, of the whole length of it to fill it in to look like a spool of thread. So, I will put a few more in and then start in this direction. Alright, so that is one spool of thread. I'm looking at this and I'm actually thinking I'll be fine just having gone down once and back. I think that it filled it in enough and it looks pretty cool. I might choose later to go back in with more of the dark brown and fill this in to make it so that it stands out and you don't just see this part. But for now, I think it's turning out pretty good. So I'm going to do the next one, next 2 actually, and then I'll bring it back to show you. Alright guys, this is what we have so far. I think it's coming along. We're getting the idea of a messy craft room. So I can't wait to see what goes on next.
Spud was extra helpful this time around. Love stealing a ball of yarn. I hope you guys had a good time. Hope you enjoyed. Remember, with curiosity and kind cooperation, anyone can be creative. I can't wait to see what you all come up with.